Welcome to Meet the Authors. I'm your host, Philip Levin. So glad you can invite us into your room for another day of seeing the authors that are local. Isn't this a great show? I just love it. Every day we come out here and we bring in authors from all over the area, new writers, established writers, people who are thrilled, who are inspired to write books for you and to share their thoughts. Perhaps you're a writer or you know one. If you do, contact us because we'd love to feature you on our show. Today we have three authors. We have Craig Leonard and his new book, Unto the Last Sea. Now he has 4 books out, 4 books he's written. This is the first one that is out, and it's really very exciting. It's a contemporary novel, and we're going to hear all about his work, how he came to be a writer, and how he's marketed it. It's really pretty interesting. Our second guest today will be Ira Davis, and Ira Davis has this beautiful book cover, this lovely book, a fantasy book about moon elves. They're set on a whole new world. He loves writing fantasy. He's a local man, born and raised here and works in a local store. The third segment today is going to be Crystal Byrd's book, I Can Make It Through the School Year. Crystal Byrd has 13 years of teaching experience here in Gulfport, and she'll talk about how you can turn to God to recognize inspiration, how you can get over your issues. It's so hard when you get having to deal with the students who are rambunctious. So this is really going to be an exciting episode today. I'm really looking forward to having it. I've been a writer myself all my life. I really enjoy writing. I enjoy the expressions. I do all sorts of writing. I write travel articles. This little piece we picked up in Tahiti, and I wrote a whole episode about Tahiti, and I filmed it. It's going to be coming up soon on the Meet the Author episode, 4 different talks about tikis and about tattoos and about traveling through Tahiti. So I write poetry, I write novels. I'm about to put out a collection of my short stories, many of them award-winning. So it's a lot of fun. I think when you get to meet the authors, when you get to talk with them and learn about their lives, it really helps you identify their books and really sounds good. So stay tuned. We're going to be back here just to have these next few messages, and our next episode is coming right up, Meet the Authors.
Here at John Paul Barber Law Firm, we're here to listen to your problems and give you advice that we can give you from 30 years of experience practicing law here in Mississippi. We specialize in family law, wills and estates, estate planning, business formation, and business transactions.
Stop.
We also handle personal injury and immigration matters. Our number is 228-447-3522. We're here to help. Se habla español.
This book is The Mississippi Gulf Coast and Neighboring Sites, and it has a collection of 25 different sites. For example, Gulf Island National Seashore, Bellingrath Gardens, Round Island Lighthouse, Pascagoula Audubon Center. In fact, that's one I wrote. So these are wonderful little history, little places to visit. And so this type of book is just full of history about the Friendship Oaks and the lighthouses and Mary Mahoney's and all sorts of history. Only $10 from the website. Welcome back to Meet the Authors. Today's first guest is Craig Leonard. Craig, thanks for coming and joining us.
Thank you, Philip, so much for this opportunity.
Oh,
Really
it's
mean
wonderful.
it.
It's wonderful to have you here. Your book is really exciting. I love the...
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I love these modern, these contemporary novels, and you're telling me a little bit about it before the show. I haven't had a chance to read it, but I read the back and skimmed through it. And
you've got a copy waiting.
now I have my own copy. How exciting. I love it. See, that's one of the good things about this show. I get an opportunity to get free books and read them and learn all about our local authors. So tell me, so where are you from? You have a great little Louisiana accent.
My hometown is Golden Meadow, Louisiana. It's known more in the United States as being the ticketed capital of America. I think that's what Peter Jennings said one time on ABC
what capital?
News. Like the speeding ticket.
The speeding
capital.
ticket
that's
capital.
what they're known for. Unfortunately, I have nothing to do with that, by the way. I didn't give anyone a ticket. But,
well, I guess every place needs a little reputation.
But born and raised there, my great-great-grandfather was actually a founder of my hometown.
Okay.
Back in the 1840-something, 50s.
Was he a police cop?
No.
No, okay.
Well, they didn't drive their horses very fast back then anyway, so it's all right.
All right. He drew that horse and buggy really quick down the street.
Growing up there really inspired my mind to race on. And just I was raised mostly with the older folks. I guess I could say it that way. My my grandparents, brothers and sisters. So it's always like great uncles and great aunts. And
I love those big families.
Yeah.
They're always telling stories, and you get the people together to really learn how to write.
That's this area. This area, I probably have 52 to 70-something cousins living within, 4 or 5 miles of where I was born.
No wonder you sold so many copies of your book.
Well, that's the only, how else are you going to marry?
Yeah.
You gotta marry someone.
That's great.
Yeah. But anyway, so my father, I'm so thankful every day, was just a great inspiration for me. Every weekend we were out in the swamps and the marshes, and I always would hear of these fantastic stories that everyone would tell. I come from a long line of storytellers, my grandfather, and so it just kind of became natural to start writing some of them down and kind of, elaborating a little bit, fleshing them out, and stuff like that. So
yeah,
that's
is
what I do.
great. And you live here now. How long have you lived in this?
I've
you
lived
live
in Mississippi since 1980. I moved back. I used to work in the Middle East. I lived in the Middle East for 5 years.
That's an exciting adventure.
Mostly in the Arab countries and everything else. So when I decided to move back permanently, I needed some acreage.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this: Louisiana land was very expensive where I'm from, because of the oil thing and everything. So I had a friend that kind of led me up to Mississippi, and I've never regretted it. So just a beautiful state, and just love it.
Yeah. What part of Mississippi are you in?
Jasper County. It's about 30 miles south of Meridian, 30 miles north of Laurel.
Okay, yeah, that's the
Just
middle of nowhere.
Very isolated.
Right?
Love it there. It's great for riding.
Yeah.
Very quiet and peaceful.
And you have some acreage, a little
Yeah, I've
cottage
got 40.
there.
I have a house in 40 acres. That's what I live on.
Is marvelous. An ideal place to write when you're.
Yeah, exactly. The front porch is that's my place. So.
That's great. So tell us about your book.
Well, the book kind of took shape. I was kind of beating around trying to get the story.
Show it to your camera.
Right here. And
it's called
Unto the Last Seed. And the
the
seed
last
here is the
seed.
seed of man, namely the last name. In other words, if you were to wipe out the Leonard name, if you were to take me out, I have one son, but if you were to take him out for whatever reason, my lineage would stop there, even though I have 2 daughters, but through marriage their name would continue on to something else. That's kind of the basis of the book. There was a storm that hit South Louisiana in 1893. Not many folks remember it, but it killed right around 2,000 people. Well, when I was coming up in my younger days, I actually knew people that lived, and were the sons of these people. And they told me stories, and you always remember it, and it was so sad and everything else. And the book is not sad. It's not that type of a book. But the storm in the book actually takes place in 1893, but I bring it up to today's timeline.
So it's a contemporary novel, and you were telling me earlier it's about 2 families that sort of had a feud.
Right. Yeah.
And the way that one family is trying to take care of this, and where the title comes from, he wants to wipe out the other family's name.
Yeah, in other words, in the aftermath of the storm, I'll just give you a little bit of hint about it. And in the aftermath of the storm, they caught one family doing something of desecrating the dead, right? So in other words, back in those days, justice was the local justice. In other words, you got enough men to get together and enforce the law. Well, they were going to hang him. They were going to hang the patriarch of this one family. Ooh. The only mistake they made was before they hung him, he looked at his own family and he said, wipe out that family unto the last seed.
Oh.
So that,
he cursed the family.
Yeah, he cursed the family. And he had like, I forget how many boys I gave him, but he was like maybe 5 or 6 boys, and they just carried on the
So it's a
tradition.
vendetta, and there's a lot of
So
murders in the book?
The book opens up. It's been like a 20-year hiatus. No one knows anything about it, and then all of a sudden, wham, it hits you in a dramatic fashion, really grips you at the beginning of the book, and everybody's wondering what it is. But the old patriarch of the family, he knows what's going on. But he has one seed left. And it's his job to keep that one seed.
Like a grandson, a great-grandson?
Yes, a grandson.
Wow, that's
so no member of this family had ever died a natural death.
Ooh.
But by the hands of this other family, so that tells you.
Yeah, that's quite the story.
Yes, sir.
And you were telling me earlier about very successful marketing you've had. You sold thousands of copies, made the #1 more than one Amazon.
Amazon #1 bestseller. I've gotten great reviews, and we're supposed to be thick-skinned, right? So if you get a negative review or something, you just wash it off. But it really bugs me. So
yeah, it does.
The novel was written like I like to read. In other words, if you read this book, I think you'll try to guess at the first 50 or 60 pages. You'll say, well, we know all of it. Well, you don't know anything yet until you read the last page.
I like that.
That's
I like that kind of book.
It has to be that way,
fun.
right? Because we watch TV programs, read books, and we kind of figure it out right away. That's our job. That's what we do.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that with this one.
A
So,
lot of twists and
yeah.
turns. I love that in
a
the
lot
book.
of twists and turns, yeah.
So, and I understand you've got some more. You've got more books. 3 more books.
We
on
have
the,
some more, hopefully another one will be coming out this year.
Okay.
And people are just hammering me to get it out, so.
And is it the same characters?
It's actually, I don't want to say it this way, I kind of really don't want to push it this way because I want books to stand on their own.
Yeah.
But it's actually a sequel to this book.
Okay.
But it's actually a standalone book. You could read either one and it wouldn't bother you, you know. And that's the way I intended it to be anyway, so.
All right,
Yeah.
so you've got this book out, and you've got 3 more coming
Yes, sir.
out. And what else do you like to do? You're sitting.
Well, I make wine. That's interesting to anyone. I love making wine. It's a family tradition. And I actually don't drink that. I really don't drink much,
Yeah.
but I love making wine. And we make fruit wines like blackberry and stuff like that, you know.
I want to have some.
I'm also, back in my old day, I'm a certified welder. I'm a licensed barber.
Great.
I do a lot of things. I'm a cabinet maker, etc.
We're so glad to have you on our show.
Thank you, Philip.
Thanks for
Appreciate
coming
it. Thank
in. It
you
was
very
great to
much.
see you, Craig. And then you get your book on Amazon.com. So be sure and look
Yes.
up for. I'll hold it up. Be sure and look for Craig Leonard's at CraigLeonardSenior.com. Stay tuned. We're going to be back
Thank you.
in just a few minutes with our next author, Ira Davis. And Ira Davis's amazing book, Moon Eyes, with the moon eyes on the cover. We'll be right back after these messages.
I'm Dr. Brian Sack.
I has been with him about 8 years.
And Dr. Sain is a good person.
He's a good people person.
Well, we treat the patient with chronic pain.
All the medicine the doctor give me, everything is going good.
Well, here at Pain Stop, our patients are number 1.
The pain that I was having, he have it under control and have it as to where I can function every day on a daily basis.
We use different diagnostic and therapeutic injections to help our patients.
Lo que yo le quiero decir, especialmente a los puertorriqueños,
And I've had a good experience with the clinic. All the people are very educated and very helpful.
Epidural injections, sympathetic block, facet block injections, and various kind of nerve blocks.
And since I've been referred to him as pain management, he has really helped me.
It's a team effort.
We do our best to manage their pain according to their pathology, and I think we do a really good job. Dr. Singh's a very good doctor.
And I think he's a really good doctor.
que vengan aquí porque esto es un buen doctor.
He's a good doctor, and I'm happy to be associated.
Call 228-273-4096. And welcome back to Meet the Authors. It's good to have you back here for our second segment of today's recording, and we have Ira Davis and his really amazing book. Here, I'll let you hold it and show us the camera.
How we doing?
Tell us the name of your book.
Moon Eyes in the Dark Moon Council by I.L. Davis.
All right, great. Let me shake your hand and welcome you to the show. Thanks.
All right.
So this is a lovely book. You can tell just by the cover. I'm going to show this up again, but you can tell just by the cover, the moon and the glowing eyes, and how really fantasy this is. So it's a little fantasy novel published by Author House. So tell us about your book.
It's about a group of moon elves.
Moon elves.
Moon elves. I called them that because when I wrote them, their eyes glow. It's a blessing from their gods, is how I wrote it. So they're basically, they're a scavenger race, more or less. They're, in the medieval setting I wrote it, you have your knights and your kings and your higher ranking people. Well, the moon elves are great hunters. So the kings would get them to get their venison or their rare meats and stuff. And a couple of them are born and decide that, no, I can be knighted just as well as that man.
Huh.
So they want to change their life and their history.
So you have like a medieval setting. We have humans, kings and knights and queens, and also there's a separate race that are elves that live among them, and they're hunters. And I guess it's all bow and arrow stuff?
Yeah, and swords.
And swords, but there's no guns or
No,
machine
it's all
guns, cannon
medieval.
bombs, stuff like that. So
No, it's all medieval.
all medieval type thing.
Yes,
They have
sir.
horses, so it's a
Yes,
very
sir.
similar to Earth, except for the elves.
Yes, and some other races that come out in the book as it continues, dwarves and other ones.
Dwarves and what?
Dwarves and other races that I wrote.
Other races. Yeah, that's fun. I love that kind of fantasy thing. I have a little series of fantasies myself called the Princess series, where I have dragons and have little trolls and stuff, and they're just so much fun to read. And you tell me that you're an illustrator too. You design the cover, and that your next book's going to have the map of the place and all the different creatures and stuff. Tell us about that.
I'm working on drawing the. I mixed Neanderthal beast with medieval beasts, so I have saber-toothed razorback gorillas and tigers and wolves. So I'm doing sketches and working on drawing them and some silhouettes of the main characters.
I love that. I love that when I'm reading a book to have a feel for what they actually look like and puts it together. And when is that book going to come? What's the second book called? This one's called Moon Eyes and the
Dark Moon Council.
Dark Moon Council. And what's the second book called?
Moon Eyes and the Rising of the Two Moons.
Rise and the Two Moons. How many books do you visualize in this series?
5.
Okay.
5 so far.
5 books in all. Yeah, that's a nice little series. And tell us about publishing. How did you get about the editing, the publishing? How long did it take you to put the book together?
Right at a year.
1 year? That's quick for a book.
I rewrote it 5 times. But 1 year to get it together, and I ran across a couple other authors that used Author House. So I decided to give them a try and go with them.
Absolutely. They're one of the biggest publishing houses in the country. They do a lot of publishing. I have a book through Author House myself. But it's available in all places, available on Amazon and Kindle.
Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble. On it's like 3,500 websites I paid for to get it out.
And you were telling me that the reason that you write is that your mother told you before she passed that you had this innate talent and you had to put it out. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, right before she passed away, I've been drawing medieval stuff my whole life. It's my way to escape from reality, I guess you'd say. And I started drawing these little storylines. And she told me I was using my gift the wrong way. I need to write it, not draw it. So I gave her my word before she passed, and the book's out.
Yes, wonderful. I've read a little bit of it. I like the back of it, and the stories, very, very fun fantasy and a great plot that really runs along quickly. Can you read a little bit for us?
Yeah. Forgive me if I stutter or trip. As Dead Dog followed Dove's voice leading him toward Moon Eyes found a young saber-toothed razorback gorilla. Even the young ones were stronger than 10 moon elves, men. She set her bait out to catch and tame it, but her mother had also spoken with Moon Eyes' pets, Cloud, and told the lion to follow her, even though Moon Eyes had ordered her to stay at a distance. Moon Eyes dropped down and shot the young gorilla with a dart lance, with a sleeping potion to slow the beast down so she could tame it. But not knowing how much potion to use, she had also put some in the food. She left out the trap to trap it, As she started to eat, Moon Eyes triggered the cage trapped she had made to drop on top of the saber-toothed razorback gorilla. When it landed, the saber-toothed razorback smashed the cage into kindling. Moon Eyes started to jump away, but the beast slammed into her, knocking her 10 feet away into a tree.
Nice, very nice. I like it. It gives a sense of the magical potions and the whole sense of the fantasy world. And you said that you had a favorite author that a lot of your books will remind you of. Tell me about that.
Sharon Canyon.
Sharon
Canyon.
Canyon.
She writes fantasy, sci-fi books. And one of her books, when I started reading her book, in it she said that if she would have stopped at like book 2, she would never be where she's at now. Because she said, in her book, she actually said she couldn't even give the book away. And her family supported her husband and children, and she kept writing. And now she's got like 31 hits, 31 #1 best-selling books. So
all beginning
she's
so
pretty
hard.
much my inspiration while I was
Good
reading
for
that.
you. And so you're going to keep writing until you have a lot of your books out too. That is great. Well, Ira, it's been wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all for inviting us into your living room. If you're willing to stay tuned, I'm sure you're excited as I am for the next author. Our next author is going to be Crystal Byrd, and her book, Can I Make It Through the School Year? It's for teachers and her experience about teaching in these schools. So stay tuned. Crystal will be with us after these messages. We'll be right back.
I am Dr. Azad Kabir, internal medicine board certified physician, and my focus will be preventive health, geriatric care, primary care.
My name is Inez Kelleher. I have been practicing orthopedic surgery on the coast for 20 years. I treat patients with osteoporosis and osteoarthritis using nutrition, medications, injections, and lifestyle management.
We are physician-only practices.
$30 can really make a difference, and we're asking you to do just that.
What will your $30 buy?
A tent for a homeless person who has no place to sleep.
Or breakfast for 15 people who live in poverty. Or
a monthly bus pass for someone without transportation, and much,
much more. Make a difference for a fellow Mississippian who needs our help. Give a $30 donation today.
Mental Health Association of South Mississippi, promoting mental wellness since 1963.
And welcome back to Meet the Authors. Our guest for this segment is Crystal Byrd. Welcome, Crystal.
Thank you.
So glad to have you. You can see a website here on the camera now. And Crystal has come out with a really interesting book that's exciting for all the teachers out here. Tell us about it. Show the audience your book, and tell us over here. Tell us about your book.
I Can Make It Through the School Year for Teachers. It has been birthed from some hardships I'm sure that every teacher has faced. And there's inspiration, encouragement, and hope to get through, the day and the week and the whole school year, of course, ultimately.
So that's so much fun. I mean, I read this book. I read lots of segments of it, not the whole thing yet. But a lot of it really talks about your belief in God and how you turn to religion and your faith to help you through the school year. So tell me all about that. How important is faith in your life?
It's really important. It encompasses everything that I do, and that's the way that I like to live. But it helped me through my school year specifically because if it wasn't for that, I would not have made it through. I would have quit. I would have laid it down. I would have walked away.
And you've been a teacher now for 13 years.
Yes.
And you started in special ed, and that's what this book is based on. And it talks about really your first year when you were facing all the trauma and trying to say, am I going to be able to get through all these special kids and their special needs?
Right.
And you turn to God. And it's a pretty good-sized book, a lot of chapters. So tell me a little bit some of the techniques that you recommend in your book.
Well, one of the techniques is know yourself. Know what it is how you handle situations, and if you're not handling them in a way that's productive and positive in your life, find different ways and different outlets to help you, reach towards those goals of, making it through a day and a week and a whole school year without caving under the stress, because it's a very stressful and demanding job.
But you're not doing special ed now. Now you're doing
Correct.
4th grade.
Right, I'm doing general education.
And what school are you in?
I'm at McDavid Jones in Central Alabama.
Oh, in Alabama?
Yes.
Okay. But you live here in Mississippi, no?
No.
Okay, you live in Alabama, that's
Yes.
fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Regional
But I do love it when I came into town.
I was over there in
awesome.
Mobile with you, teaching like that. What I was thinking there for a moment. Yeah, and so you're teaching over in Alabama, and you have a writers group there. So is this your first book?
This is my first book.
Are you working on another one?
I am. I'm working on I Can Make It Through the School Year for Parents.
Ah.
And then I'm going to add one for teens. It's #ICAN, #SchoolLife, #for-teens.
Ah, I like that. So social media tag in there.
Yes.
Do you have a big social media presence?
I'm working on it. I've been building it up for a while now. So, and I'm still learning, being an author and getting into social media and websites and different things like that takes time, and and there's a big learning curve.
So tell us just, you said in the first year you had so much stress and you really had to turn to God. Give us, if you would, a specific example. What kind of instance really said, I've got to write about this? Because what happened?
Well, the year that I really knew that, and at that point I didn't know I was going to write a book, but the year that I went through that, catapulted the book was the year that it was reduction in force took place. The recession was coming. Teachers were cut. I was the only special ed teacher left at the school for pre-K through 6th grade. It was demanding. I had to do self-contained and regular education classes all at the same time with little to no support because they had to pull the other paraprofessionals and stuff like that that we did have, the ones that weren't cut, to do different things. So a lot of it weighed on my shoulders. At the same time, I was new to some different roles that were pretty demanding at the same time. And a child that had severe special needs came in, and I really wasn't trained to handle that and then add everything up together.
What's severe special needs? What kind of special needs are those?
Couldn't talk.
Couldn't talk.
Couldn't walk, really.
Wow.
Dropped, wanted to drop a lot.
That's special needy,
wear
all right.
Diapers, things like that.
So you're very beautiful. You have the strong facial structure. You're telling me you have Creek Indian blood in you?
Yes, correct.
And so how much of you is Creek?
Well, that is debatable. By heart, 100%.
Oh, that's sweet.
But it is debatable on paper.
And that's how you came. You were living in Memphis, you said, and your mother decided to come down and join the tribal area?
Yes.
Does that happen? And how long ago was that?
That's been 20 years ago.
20 years?
Yes.
When you were a teenager?
Yes.
And now you're living in Alabama full-time and teaching school. So, you said you're working on another book and then a third book after that. How do you get your how do you publicize your book? Where's the publicity?
I self-publish.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I learned through watching other people and listening to what they were doing, and basically they became my mentors. Although they were online, they still became my mentors. I did some online classes to kind of give you instructions on those types of things that you need to do, and I took the self-publishing route. So.
And you're married?
Yes.
And you have children?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
6 daughters.
6 daughters. That's very impressive. How old are your daughters?
5, 9, 16, 17, 18, and 24.
So when you have all these children, surely you must draw from your personal experience on how to deal with all the trauma at home.
Yes, that may be a coming book too.
A coming book, yeah. How to deal with a family of 6 children. Yeah. Well, that'll be fun. So do you teach your children too? Have they ever been in your class?
They have not. I have one that's upcoming into 4th grade, and she's begging me to work miracles so that she can get in there. But,
no nepotism in our school. No, I'm not going to let you teach your own child, huh? Yeah. So it's been great having you. I've loved this talk. Let me welcome you. I'm just going to say thanks for coming. This is a really lovely book. Everyone should pick up on this book. All of our books, put on my website. All of the guest books are available on my website, as are my books as well. So I hope that you've enjoyed this section of Meet the Authors, and that you'll tune in again next week. We'll have some more authors, or maybe some of my own personal videos I put together. And we'll be back. Thank you for the Meet the Authors. See you next time.